What if I told you the main guy that many Montreal Canadiens fans wanted the Canadiens to target also wanted to go to the Habs as well? Today we are diving into New Jersey Devils forward Anthony Mantha and diving into how it is he actually wanted to play with the Habs this season, only for the Canadiens to turn him down. Okay, maybe that's a little exaggerated compared to what actually happened, but today we're diving into Mantha. This is already a conversation that we have had on this channel a decent amount of times. I don't want to make it seem like we were making Mantha to Montreal videos left, right, and center over and over and over again. But there was a decent selection of Mantha-related conversation that got brought up on this YouTube channel in regards to the Montreal Canadiens. And for the most part, the comment section would have you believe that this was a guy that some really did think would have been a nice addition to the Habs and their roster. 31 years old, 6'5", 234 pounds, a left-handed winger who ended up signing with the New Jersey Devils on a $4.75 million AAV deal that's 2 years long. Pretty big pay raise for a guy who at one point was making $5.7 million a year. He did that in the early 2020s, and it was because the Detroit Red Wings thought that he would become this really great, consistent scorer. He had some peaks, but he was never as consistent as he should have been, and he ended up going to a bunch of different teams. Mantha was in Detroit, Mantha was in Washington, Mantha was in Vegas, then he was in Calgary. This previous season, though, he played with the Pittsburgh Penguins, scoring a career-high 33 goals and 64 points. A revival season for Anthony Mantha, and a guy who was able to take advantage of that great performance and monetize it into the next 2 years. At 31 years old, you can definitely tell that this is the time for Mantha to start scoring and to start earning that dough. But as Mantha stuck around in the free agency pool as a guy from Quebec and as a guy that Canadiens fans were saying would have been an interesting acquisition by Kent Hughes, he ended up not signing with the Habs. Instead, he signed with New Jersey, and we'll see what he's able to do now alongside of Jack, Luke, and all the other Devils over there. But with all that said, let's dive into this article that was posted on TVA Sports yesterday that talks about how there was mutual interest between Anthony Mantha and the Montreal Canadiens. Take a look at this. Quebec hockey player Anthony Mantha confirmed the Canadiens had shown interest in him in recent weeks, but that no concrete offer was made to him by the Montreal team. The 31-year-old forward, who became a free agent on July 1st, ultimately signed a 2-year contract with the Devils on Wednesday. The deal will pay him a total of $9.5 million. There was interest from Montreal towards me, and vice versa, Mantha confirmed at a press conference. But when it came time to talk numbers and years, there was never an offer. So it was time for us to go in another direction. We gave Montreal time to call us back. We gave them a good week, and then nothing happened. It was time to move on to another call. Mantha admitted he didn't expect to wait 2 weeks after free agency opened to sign with an NHL team. After all, he's coming off the best season of his career with the Penguins, a campaign in which he had scored 31 goals and avoided injuries. The 6'5" guy was also hoping to get a 3 or 4 year deal, but there wasn't really any interest across the league. Mantha admitted that his injury history was putting off many teams who feared he would not be able to repeat what he did in 25-26. I'm going to do it again this year, the former Val d'Or forward star assured. Man, that's a big guarantee. I don't know if it's really safe to go out there and make declarations like that in the media, but hey, to each their own. The Devils themselves initially offered him a 1-year contract before adding a 2nd year. For me, it was important, Mantha said, with 3 young children, to stay somewhere for more than a year. I spent a year in Calgary, another in Pittsburgh, and getting a 2-year deal was a huge relief. Now he sees himself playing alongside some of the Devils' top offensive talents. Hughes and Brott are probably 2 line mates I'd like to try and find some chemistry with, he admitted. They're good, talented, and fast, but if you look at the rest of the lineup and you put me with another duo that's been clicking for 2, 3, 4, or 5 years, I'm going to go there and try to find that chemistry too. Mantha hopes to contribute to a possible return of the Devils to the playoffs and ideally sign a contract extension in 2 years. So we'll see about that. Mantha's going to be, 33 by the time that time rolls around? But this is a really interesting update that Mantha had in regards to the Canadiens. Seems like he waited. Seems like the holdup was Kent Hughes not calling this guy back. They're like, hey, Anthony Mantha, it's Kent Hughes. We're interested in you. And Mantha was like, yeah, I'm interested in you too. But when it came to talk about the actual contract details, the Habs never called us back. Ladies and gentlemen, did Mantha just reveal that his number one choice, the Montreal Canadiens, ghosted him and his representation in free agency? Kent Hughes was too busy going out there and re-signing guys in the organization like Jakub Dobeš and Ivan Demidov and signing players like Bogdan Konyushkov to deal with Anthony Mantha. Oh, that guy's waiting for us to call him back. Let's just put it on the back burner. We can sign AHL guys. I don't know if Kent Hughes necessarily was thinking that, oh yeah, we'll get to Mantha another day. Let's just focus on all this other stuff. But at some point, July 1st was free agency opening day. So he had to wait a number of days in order to actually get a contract and to get an offer from the Montreal Canadiens, but it seemed like that did not happen. So it was time to move on. Now, I'm not necessarily making any conclusions as to whether or not this was a good thing or a bad thing or the right thing, that Kent Hughes avoided this kind of a guy, whatever, but it does feel kind of interesting when one of the main players that Montreal Canadiens fans wanted to see get added onto the Montreal Canadiens was actively waiting for Kent Hughes' call, but it never came. There's some sort of like a romance movie kind of situational, dramatic irony plot that I'm forming in my head about this thing. I feel like I've seen this 1,000 times in any sort of a Nicholas Sparks novel. Oh, I was waiting for your call, but you never called, so I had to move on to the other teams and get another year because they were only offering me one. That seems like what happened here with Anthony Mantha, does it not? So with all that said, you can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below if you're a Canadiens fan. Question to you, 4.75 by 2 years for a guy who's 31 turning 33 by the time the contract finishes. He is a career high player as of this previously completed season. Is it worth it to go out there and give this sort of a deal to this sort of a guy? And if you were the Montreal Canadiens, would you have given this contract to him for the Habs? Would you have rather let some other team like New Jersey take on that risk instead? Would you have tried to negotiate it down? It seems like Mantha would have been interested in going to Montreal, so I do question if he would accept a lower dollar amount if he were to sign with the Habs. It does seem like the 2-year thing was really important to him and his family, so I'm not too sure if you could have gotten a year shaved off of that part of the contract. But still, this Nicholas Sparks, you couldn't call me back and I had to go with somebody else thing is quite the intriguing narrative to dive into. The Montreal Canadiens ghosted Anthony Mantha, people. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about all that. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.